Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. My dear friends, one of the hardest things for us to understand as we go about our daily lives is that the next plane of life is actually pretty much in the same place where we are right now. I can remember being small and imagining my great-grandparents being way up there, sitting on clouds and swinging their feet. But of course, that's not the way things work at all. What we think of as death is basically nothing more than changing channels. It's as if right now our minds are tuned to, let's call it channel 2. And when our bodies die, our minds will tune to maybe channel 4. And there they'll pick up a whole new solid reality in what is exactly the same place. Reality really does work pretty much as we know that television works. And just as there are hundreds of television channels, so there are hundreds of energy levels, and this material level of reality is the lowest energy level of which we are aware. At least I think that's true, still true. I don't know. We'll ask our expert today. Actually, we aren't aware of it, that there even is a top. So those that we love who have gone before us are very close to where we are, and simply they're just vibrating at a higher level than we are. When they want to be close to us, they can lower their vibratory rate and draw very near to us. So when you have a thought or a dream of someone you love, he or she has lowered his vibratory rate to be very close to you. For the first half of my life, horses were very big in my life. We lived next to a state forest, and my favorite horse was mine from the age of 6 months old. He was 6 months old, not me, until he died when he was almost 30, and that was Bo. There was a little period when my children were teenagers, and we had, I don't know whose idea this was, but we had the fun of breeding 3 mares that we had and rearing their foals. And the last of those 3 foals was a Morgan. We named him Immortal Figure because he was a solid bay. He looked just like Figure, who was the first Morgan horse. When our Figure was 5, I gave him to a wonderful woman who gave our Figure a wonderful life. And he was a wonderful horse. But then when he was 27, Figure developed lymphoma. That was just last week. And a few days ago, he had to be put down. Actually, it's a gift to a horse when you put him down when he can't even eat. He was sick. I was a little glum to hear that they had put him down, even though I hadn't seen him in many years, except in the pictures his owner kept sending me. She was wonderful. But last night, my Bo, I hadn't seen him, of course, in many years because he had died when he was 30. My Bo gave me a very vivid visitation dream. He came to comfort me and to let me know that Figure is there with him now. And oh my goodness, Bo is beautiful. I had forgotten how he looks. He's beautiful. Our favorite pets can come as our deathbed visitors. And my Thomas tells me now that I'm going to get to ride out on Bo when my turn comes. I'll get to see my human loved ones, but I can't wait to see Bo. And seeing him last night was so vivid. I had almost forgotten what he looks like. Bo is a Morgan too. He's a dark liver chestnut, if you know about horses. It's sort of almost black. He has a lot of flaxen in his mane, and I saw just his head and neck, and I got to hug him last night. He's a gorgeous horse. Well, I'm sorry. I just had to tell you about that visitation dream. My dear friends, our guest today for the 36th time is our beautiful friend, Dr. R. Craig Hogan. And our topic is going to be what is really on my mind today and very close to me today. And that's really something that's always as close as our next thought. It's the afterlife. Craig, welcome to Seek Reality. I feel as if I ought to be saying, welcome home to Seek Reality after 35 Seek Reality visits.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful time, and I've enjoyed every one of them, and I'm hoping that we can continue these until we're in our hundreds.
Hundreds!
But by
You're
then, I'm
to
hoping
God's ears, my friend.
Yeah, by then I'm hoping everybody knows what we're trying to tell everybody, so that the word has gotten around, humanity has changed, and people are enlightened.
Everybody's enlightened. The thing about what we're trying to teach people now is that it's right here, it's right with us. I mean, I got to hug my horse last night, and he's so beautiful. I can't get over how I had forgotten what he looks like, but I got to see him just last night. Isn't that something that's just, I mean, unbelievable? But I got to see him, every bit of him. He's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and the all of our loved ones are that close to us. So they are imminent. They are a thought away, and we will have them come to us, and we can communicate with them at any time that we want to, as well as our pets, our animals. They are with us, and they communicate. So in this life, as we communicate with them, they will be able to communicate back to us, and in the next, we will communicate with them telepathically. And so they're very vocal about what they're saying. There's an instance in which a man had gone on to the next life, and he's communicating back now and telling us what happened when he went on. And he says that he sat in a room with a woman and was speaking with her for the first time after he had made his transition. And there was a cat sitting over in the corner of the room, and the cat said to him, "Welcome. I'm very pleased to see you here." And at first he was nonplussed. He couldn't believe what had happened. That the cat was talking to him. And so he said, "That cat just spoke to me." And the woman says, "Well, of course he did." And so they will be able to speak to us then, but they can also speak to us now, and they can visit us. And that's what the wonderful experience that you had.
Isn't that great?
Hmm.
I'm used to it now. That's not the first time that I've heard from Bo since he died. And that's the kind of thing that people need to be open to. I mean, yes, I loved him when he was here, but knowing that I haven't lost him at all is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. I mean, if you love your animals now, just wait until they have gone ahead of you and you get to talk to them and they get to talk right back to you by mind. It's just something that you and I are used to. I mean, it's not anything unusual to us. It's beautiful to us. And I haven't yet called my friend who thinks she lost Figure. She hasn't lost him at all. I mean, he's right there. And Bo just wanted to make sure I knew and let her know that Figure's just fine. He's running around in a pasture today.
What happens is when we make the transition and we then awaken on the next realm of life, all of our pets come to us. So they will, all of the pets that we ever had that we love, any animal that we loved is there waiting for us, and they will come to greet us when we make it to the other side. And that sounds like a fantasy, but it isn't fantasy. It's the truth. It is what we receive in messages from people living on the other side, people living in the next life. So we have the witnesses there speaking to us, and they tell us that these things are true. And so every one of our pets is going to be jumping up on us or being with us when
unless
we make
they're a horse. The horses don't do that.
Unless there's a horse. You don't want the horse jumping up. There's a story about a horse that Leslie Flint had a man come through. Leslie Flint was a direct voice medium in the middle of the 20th century, and he would have people come through and speak audibly within the room, and we have recordings of their presentations now from the other side. And he had a man come through, and he said, he described who came up to him and greeted him when he first went over. He said he woke up in the middle of a field, and he looked around and didn't realize what had happened because he had just transitioned. He just passed away. And then he saw somebody coming in the distance, and it was his horse, Nellie. And Nellie was the first person to come over and greet him. And he also said, and there was somebody coming to greet me, and it wasn't one of my ex-wives, thank God. But it was Nellie, his horse, and because he is a rag and bone merchant, which means that he had a horse and a cart, and he would go around and he would gather up rags and bones and things and sell them. That was his occupation, and Nellie was his horse. And Nellie had passed into the next life, and he was devastated by it. But here she was coming in to greet him.
I think anyone who has loved horses knows that horses are some of the best people. And they really are. They're lovely people. And Bo certainly was. He was my dearest friend when he was with me, and knowing that I'm going to get to be with him again is part of the joy I have of looking forward. And if you have animals that you have especially loved, I think one of the joys of learning that life is eternal, one of the special joys is knowing that you're going to have those animals that you loved in your life again, and that they will be very much a part of your life. And especially if you've loved horses, knowing that is a special joy. Um,
And they're taken care of on the other side. They're pets, especially pets, are taken care of by the family members who are already there. So any pet that you have said goodbye to at the last transition, then they are waiting there. They're being taken care of by loved ones, by family members. And immediately when you go over, of course, then they relinquish control of the animal to you, and then you stay with them. They stay with you, and they live in the same circumstances that you do. And so it's a wonderful time with all of our pets, as well as all of those that we love. We have a great, wonderful reunion that happens, and we can all look forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be so great. But I just couldn't get over it. Bo knew that I would worry about Figure, and he wanted to make sure I didn't worry. Isn't that wonderful? Oh Lord. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've just been all morning. I've been thinking about that and thinking about how wonderful Bo looks now. The color he was often has flax in the mane, and so here he is almost black, and he has his white all through his mane. Beautiful. Anyway, so we're going to talk about one of the things as we work with Seek Reality Online is we're finding that there are a lot of questions people have, and some of those questions regard animals and regard children. One of the things people worry about is, if I've given up my child here, I mean, who's taking care of the child there? And in some cases, our children are being taken care of by people that we love, and by grandma or someone who's there. But in a lot of cases, there isn't someone to take care of our child. So there are beautiful homes there where they're special for. I mean, if you've had a miscarriage, if you've had an abortion, those babies that never saw life here do see life in the afterlife. All of them. There are special homes where they grow up there. They don't take as much time to grow up there as they took to grow up here. Usually it takes, in Earth years, maybe only 8 or 10 Earth years, and they grow up there, and they look over us. They watch over us. They're like a guardian angel for us. And they love us, and they think of us. If you're a mother or a father here of a child that never saw life here, they think of us as their parents still, and they're waiting for us, and they will greet us when we get there. Now, maybe that's not good news if you had an abortion, but nevertheless, that child will be waiting and lovingly welcoming you when you get there. So you can look forward to that.
Yeah, and we actually have recordings of people who have met their loved ones who have not come to term, and they're some surprised to see that they're there. There's one woman who had come through and one of the Leslie Flint's archives, and she had come through and said to her husband on this side of life, who was sitting in the room with Leslie Flint, she said, there were 2 children who met me when I went over, and I was very surprised. Their names were Sybil and Peter. And then I realized that they were the miscarriages that I had had. And I didn't think I had any children. And here I was, and I had these 2 wonderful children.
Oh,
And they greeted me then when I went over to the other side. It's a wonderful, we have the recording. And I have the recording and play it for people, and it's on some of our literature. But there are many recordings like this that show that the people who don't come to term, if they are loved, if they're loved by the family, loved by the mother, then they're born into the next life. And as you say, they grow up there until they're into their prime of their life, which is in their teens or 20s. And then they will stay at that, whatever that ideal age is for them. But they're waiting for us on the other side, and we may be surprised at who's there.
right. maybe happily, maybe less happily, but something to look forward to nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
another question sometimes people ask is,